Paul from Paul's R2D2 blog, and today we're going to talk about rockler bearings. What do you do when you have one that sounds awful and just doesn't move like it used to? Here's one of my old guys right here, and you spin this guy around and yeah, nails on the chalkboard, right? Well, as you know, the original rockler is using oodles of metal ball bearings. Well, in this video, we'll show you how to replace that. We're going to take it apart. We're going to replace all those ball bearings with acetal, which are resin ball bearings. They're self-lubricating. Although what we're going to do is we are going to put Teflon spray in there, and it's going to make everything run a whole lot smoother. So let me show you the same exact rockler after being cleaned and having the acetal bearings put in. Just like Wheel of Fortune, right? So keep watching, I'll show you the process, and you can do it. Takes about an hour and a half. So kick back, take some notes, and let me do the work. Okay, let's cover what we're going to need. So first of all, we of course have our rockler bearing, and in my case I still have the dome plate attached. Of course the dome plate is what all the electronics and such inside the dome can mount onto, periscope, lifters and such. Now, what you'll want to do is pay careful attention when you start taking these things off. If you already have them attached, you want to keep track of, how many nuts are on top, how many washers or what have you, because you want to make sure when you put everything back together you have the proper spacing so that the dome sits on there correctly. Now, the other thing that I have done is right here is going to be where we unscrew this, and that's where the ball bearings will be able to come out. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure we put everything back the way we found it. So what I did is I drew one horizontal line and one vertical line, obviously not one on the bottom. This way we can make sure that when we put everything back together, everything lines up. Because the way that fits on the inside, you want to make sure it's not blocking traffic for the acetal balls. So that pretty much covers that. Of course we have our tools handy we're going to need for removing the dome plate. And once we get this stuff apart, we're going to need a lot of paper towels to clean up all the gunk once we get all the ball bearings out. And of course you want to think ahead, have a container for all the ball bearings to go. Now once that is cleaned out, once you run your finger in there, which of course will be covered with some gloves because this stuff can be nasty. Once you have that all cleaned up, you can find out if you need to sand smooth any spots that in the track that feel rough. I'm using, what did I grab? A 100 grit. Sandpaper. My oscillating sander died, but I have all kinds of oscillating paper, so I can fold it in half and use it here. Now, of course, these are the acetal bearings themselves. Look like something from a pretty aggressive airsoft game, but what they do is they come in packs of 50, and what I did is, oh, I'm sorry, it's probably more than that, but nope, they're 50 each. So what I did is I bought 2 packs for this one, and then I bought 2 extra packs for my other rockler. Now, we're going to be using our Dremel. Now, the Dremel has a sanding head that I haven't decided, because I haven't opened this up yet, whether or not that will work in there. We'll see. I doubt it will. But for the cleaning and polishing part, we have, now if you have one of the newer Dremels, you have the pieces that already have the tip built in, the Easy Lock system. And then I bought a wire brush so that if I do get in there and find some spots that need some cleaning, I can use this on it. If you have an older style Dremel, you may have bought an accessory kit that has all of these little polishing tips on there. Well, if you're not sure what to use to get those guys on, you want to use this guy. And all it does is threads right in. And I plan on using them on this newer Dremel just because I have them and may as well use them up. Of course, with safety we got the glasses, and we also have the, with the gloves we have the safety glasses. And next step in the process, we want to have the proper lubricant, and that's going to be the Teflon spray from DuPont. It's about $3, 3 and some change at Lowe's. Once we get everything cleaned up, we're going to put a light coating of that. We'll put the new bearings in, and then we'll start closing everything up and hope we have a remarkable difference. Okay, we're about ready to start taking things apart, and let's have a little before and after. Okay, and that's how it goes around, but it doesn't sound terribly nice. I think a little bit of that is the dome plate rubbing on the rockler, but still at any rate you can see we're not getting too many rotations. But still, that's our reference for our starting point. Let's see how we do. Okay, let's see what kind of god-awful mess I can make here and record it for the benefit of everyone else. Alright, so I have no idea how many twists this thing's going to take, but alright. Oh yeah, that's kind of nasty. Alright, now let's see. Okay, I'll give this guy a little bit of this way, but you can definitely feel them rolling around there. Okay, well, that was something I wasn't expecting. As the ball started to come out, here we go, everything comes apart. Alright. And I can see inside, there's still a fair chunk of these guys in here. That wasn't exactly as planned. Okay, as you can see, we got a couple that are still in here, and wow, look at all the metal coils. That can't be good. Okay, and let's see, so there we go. One roll loose around here. I'm sure I'll find it when I'm moving a heavy box. So let's take a look at the inside here. And I don't know how much of that you can see on the camera, but I think we've got our work cut out for us. Okay, as you can tell by the paper towels here, and let me show you. There's a couple spots in here that have some pretty good little bumps in them here. You'll see there's one right here, and there seems to be another one over here. Now whether I did that or they did, I'm not exactly sure. Looks like I might have done it when I was countersinking it, but wow, it's a pretty good little hole. But anyway, just from the paper towel right now, you can see we've cleaned up quite a bit. It doesn't feel terribly rough in here. The paper towel isn't ripping, so I'm really kind of hesitant to kind of, sand anything besides these few little bumps we have. So far, not so bad. Just been wiping this nastiness off. Oh, and if you thought that you wouldn't need gloves, that's just from the first one. So it definitely pays to be gloved up. And then it's on to this guy, and yeah. And what you can kind of see in here is I'm seeing some metal filings, so it could just be from not covering the Rockler when initially drilling the holes, or it could just be wear and tear. It doesn't look terrible, but it's going to be very interesting to see the result. Okay, here's the top one, and by the way, I labeled it T for top when I first started this, because I had a feeling that these might look a lot alike. Kind of look like David Copperfield to the Magician props. But anyway, the top ring, as you can see, this is just from taking the paper towel to it. Now, one thing you want to take note of is there's a little ridge up here, obviously where these two guys must connect. And that's a little bit tough to get stuff out of. So take your time and definitely force your way in there. And next step now is going to be taking the dermal polisher to it. And let's see what we can do here. Okay, we've got the Teflon, and I'm just going to give it a little misting around here. And I'm not going to aim this at myself. But what I'm going to do is just kind of drizzle it in there. And maybe give it a little bit of a wipe down here. Because I'm sure that's probably way too much. But this should be enough to get the excess. And here we go. I'm sure if I've done this wrong or if someone sees something blaringly obvious, please tell me. Okay, so there we go. So we got a little bit of, I just want to kind of drag that around a little. Okay, there's that part. Definitely the easier way to do this is standing on its edge. I've moved the camera to accommodate that because otherwise this thing will get sideways on you really quick. Fortunately, we haven't made too big of a mess, but you can hear them ticking around. It's a good sound. And there we go. I also found, by the way, when I was applying the lubricant to the top ring, is I gave it a good wipe down, and I noticed that it brought up a lot of material. So, in case you're wondering if I might have skipped a step or didn't share, that was the one thing I did off camera, was gave it a thorough with the paper towels, another wipe down. It brought up quite a bit more gunk, and then I put another light misting, wiped it down, and so far so good. Well, I can already feel quite the difference in how this thing's rolling around. These latex gloves aren't making this process a lot of fun, but, and let's see, well, they are slowly filling up. So what I'll do is I'll keep going on my merry way. If you're wondering how many, I know I heard from other builders, they said more than one package, but not 2 entire packages. So I'm guessing that would mean well less than, what do we get in that other one there? Probably about 100. We'll be back. Okay, really the best way to tell if you have enough of those in here is, from what I've heard from some of the other builders, you want to have about 2 inches between where there are balls in there and not, because eventually these are going to kind of space out on their own. So it takes a little bit of trial and error to wiggle this guy back and forth and get everything moved around. It would appear to me like I definitely have enough in here, and there's enough of a bit of a gap. I can see a little spot there, here. So it looks like that's going to be all right. And then we're just going to be putting this end piece back in here, and gently get you back in there, and let's get you lined up the way you were here. There we go. Alright, we gotta take this down a bit. Let's see how we do for, and as you can see, quite a bit left over from the second package. But let's see. That seems to be a fairly significant improvement. The other thing I did is, before I closed everything up, especially on the end there, I did give this a little bit of a dab of more spray between the groove here, and wiped it down. You don't want to overdo it, but then again, you know, now's a great time to get that lubricant in there so it can do its thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the dome plate back on, and let's see if we notice a significant improvement. Okay, it's time for the moment of truth. One thing I did notice, the bottom of the dome plate had some scratch marks on it, so that indicated to me it was rubbing on the Rockler. So I added one more small spacer to each. So let's give it a spin and see if we see a big difference here. Well, it does seem to move a whole lot freer. I think in one regard the dome plate kind of amplifies any volume, especially this spot here. But I think for our movements, well, we'll see. You be the judge. You tell me. I think it's definitely worth the improvement. I mean, you're talking, just seeing all the gunk that was in there, the parts for these, geez, you're talking, you know, for enough to do one dome, you're talking probably $12-15 after the shipping from McMaster-Carr, and you know, lubricant was, you know, like I said, between $3 and $4. And as far as total time, well, let's see, we started this an hour and a half ago, and we just kind of took our time doing it. So So as for upgrades or fixes or maintenance that take a lot of time, this one, I'll admit, I wasn't very anxious to do this, but as far as the results go, that's pretty good.